He is. Let me see if he's having issues. Let me reach out.
Okay.
And shout out to Lakia Taylor. Hi, Lakia. Average coordinator for 211 LA. Stop the hate.
All
Hi, everyone.
right. We're going to get to meet the whole team here.
Okay, the recording is on.
Yes, I'm just wondering if we should wait until Gilbert joins. Just at least give it a minute. And if not, then we will officially start, right?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
One more minute, okay?
Okay.
You could keep me posted, Yoli, as well, but otherwise we'll just have you lead the way, okay?
Yeah, I'm prepared to do so. So
Okay, sounds
for the sake
good.
of
You know what?
time,
Yeah. Okay, then I'm gonna start and let's take it from there. So good morning, everyone, at least on the West Coast time. My name is Pin Im with Faith and Community Empowerment, or FACE, and we're really pleased to be doing part 2 of our Stop the Hate series. And today's series today is on Stop the Hate, how to report. And I'm very honored to be partnering with the LA Sentinel. They have been a very important partner with our organization and in their work for the broader community of really uniting communities and really creating bridges of understanding. Our organization, we've been around 23 years and really, working to, again, empower communities with resources and opportunities. And definitely today's session is all about that. The LA community, the LA County Human Relations Report just came out, and as we shared in yesterday's session, it is astounding that for the past 3 years that there were double-digit increases, and again today, this year in 2023, it reported that there was a 45% increase. And if you see particularly the groups that have been disproportionately impacted, really, it seems to be everyone. And so again, I think it is really crucial, first of all, that we really stand in solidarity, that hate towards any one community really is an act towards hate for all of us as well. But a second piece to that is that if we do not report, then really it doesn't reflect reality. And I know that there are many groups who really do not report. So today's session, we're really excited that we have 201 LA, and we have our director and representative of Cora Jackson-Fossett with the LA Sentinel, who will be leading us today and moderating, and our co-conspirator in crime. Cora, please lead the way.
Thank you so much, Pin. It is an honor to be a part of this presentation, and I am pleased to be a partner with Faith and Community Empowerment, led by Pin M. And so today, as she said, we'll be talking about how to report, and we have some experts that will tell us all about that process. Our speakers today is Gilbert Savala, who is a communications leader with over 13 years of experience in marketing, community engagement, and creative background. And he serves as the communications director at 211 LA, where he leads impactful campaigns that have reached millions of residents across LA County and throughout the state. Also, we will have Yolanda or Yoli Anguiano. I hope I pronounced that right. But she is 211 LA's anti-hate program director. She's a native of Los Angeles, and she has dedicated her career to connecting communities with resources that help enhance their quality of life. They both will be able to just help us learn more about the process of reporting hate crimes because, as I did mention earlier, if we don't report, well, it really doesn't help the process. So we're very pleased to have them both. And I guess would we like to begin with you, Gilbert, just telling us a little bit more about 211 and how it fits in with the whole process of anti-hate. I guess you and Lucky lead together.
Perfect. Thank you, Cora, for that introduction and welcome everyone. As you can see, we have a small presentation deck provided for you all so we can dive in. And prior to diving into discussing our anti-hate work, it's really critical for us to dive into showcasing the 211 infrastructure and what a vital service it is for LA County's most needy residents. And so just some background on 211 LA, we've been around for over 40 years now, since 1981. In 1981, we were under the name Information Federation of Los Angeles County. Now we're 211 LA, 211 being our dialing code. And so we're a nonprofit organization, and we are one of the largest I&R providers in the nation. What that means is information referral providers. Essentially, every state in the United States has a 211 service, which is a 211 information line that is geared for health and human and social services. And so other people in other states can dial 211 to get connected to similar services, including individuals who live in the state of California. Essentially, every county has a 211 service as well, like San Bernardino, Riverside, San Diego, Ventura, and Madera, and so on and so forth. And so annually, we impact over 1 million residents. And so we have a pretty deep reach in the lives of our LA County residents. And we work with a variety of partners and funders to help deliver that service, some being the California Department of Civil Rights, the United States Department of Justice, Los Angeles Public Health Department, like LACDA, LASA, ARP California, Edison, Southern California Edison, to name a few. Next slide. And so our database is one of the most comprehensive databases in the county. We have over 50,000 index services that is vetted and curated by specialists. That includes over 13,000 sites and over 4,700 agencies. And so currently right now, our resource team is diligently working to vet those resources, because annually we do a comprehensive update. And our services are free and 24/7, 365 days a year. So even on a holiday like Christmas or Veterans Day, or whenever you need this, we're always here for you. Next slide. Our resource types, these are just a few. We have, as I mentioned, we have over 50,000 different types of resources, but some of our top services that we provide residents are health services, including vaccines and testing, food access information regarding distribution centers, how to apply for SNAP Ed, including at times pet food, including mental health, crisis counseling, some hotline access for substance abuse and support groups, housing. 211 LA is the primary service line for the unhoused community. So if they need a connection to shelter, or during emergency activation and augmented winter shelter, right, we connect families and individuals with children to motel access and crisis shelter. An additional service that we offer are resources for senior and aging adults, including disability service resources. Next slide. Here's a short clip of Lewis Jackson. Lewis Jackson is a client that was connected to 211 LA through one of our healthcare partnerships with Kaiser Permanente. As we know, right, medical providers can provide you with assistance for your physical health and at times your mental health. However, what happens when an individual needs extended care? For example, they don't have food resources, or they don't have access to a support group. And so one of the great things about 211 LA and our healthcare partnership with Kaiser, the program is called Social Connections Partnership. We were able to connect with Lewis Jackson, who moved to LA County. He lived in the South. He is a veteran from an Iraq veteran, and he was able to get the full scope of service with our care coordination. And so, Yoli, if you don't mind sharing that video.
Please let me know if sound is not coming through.
Yeah, I don't hear the sound.
Give me one moment.
And so far, as I've given you a brief overview, the 211 system is definitely complex and much needed. And so with Lewis Jackson, it's such a great success story because we were able to give and provide him that full circle of service. And so Lewis Jackson, with his specific case, our care coordination team worked with a variety of partner organizations, faith-based organizations, who were able to provide him tools to increase and better his quality of life. And so if we're unable to share the video, we definitely will share after the presentation.
We're ready now, Gil.
Okay.
Let me try.
What 211 LA is to me, it's not just an organization of resources. It's a place of opportunity and a place of hope.
This is one of the few jobs that I felt actually gave me purpose.
This agency is touching 500,000 people's lives every year.
211, I would like to say thank you for being our hero, our rescue.
Help me believe again.
I love 211.
211 LA saved my life. My name is Lewis Jackson. I grew up down in the South. Growing up, I liked playing football, but I was real small, so my mom used to always not let me play. I grew up in a community that a lot of my family members, they sold drugs, used drugs, so I was always around that element. As a teenager, I didn't really know who I was, didn't know where I was going in my life or anything like that, so the Marine Corps kind of gave me that sense of purpose. When I went into the Marine Corps in 1993, we was ending the war over in Iraq. I got hurt during that time. That's how I got a service-connected disability. Once I was discharged from the Marine Corps and not having that sense of purpose, then I was lost. Now what? What do I do now? That started me to sink down in that hole of worthlessness. Pushed me into this deep type depression or anxiety, and I just started acting out, kind of like my life just continued to downward spiral. Sold drugs, used drugs. I ended up committing a crime that led me to prison. I did 8 years and 6 months in a prison in South Carolina. Once I got out of prison, everything changed. I had a sense of purpose. I had hope. So when I moved out to California, I thought things was gonna be this big dream, this amazing opportunity, but life circumstances hit. I did still have a criminal record, no matter how hopeful I was about my future. Did applications, got turned down. Nothing was going the way that it was supposed to go. So I ended up sleeping in my car. I had got to a point where I was just giving up because I didn't have direction. I didn't have nothing to reach towards. So while I was lost, I was just trying to find that picture in my mind of something that I can actually see to go towards.
Thank you for calling 211 LA County.
211 is the place to call when you don't even know where to start.
You would dial 211, literally, just like that.
Dialing those 3 numbers opens the door to about 50,000 different services and programs.
Once I connected with 211, I spoke with the individual. It wasn't just talking to a computer or anything like that. I talked to an actual person.
Information and referral is just the starting point. We know that the best outcomes come with care coordination and follow-up support.
When Mr. Jackson came to me, he stated that he was homeless. He was stressed.
When I started talking to her, she was receptive. She actually listened to what was going on.
People don't know I was homeless. I was living in my vehicle. So I know exactly what that's like.
And she kind of encouraged me, you're going to be able to do this. You're going to make it through this.
And I gave him an actionable plan. I'm going to go ahead and give you a referral.
Felt like, okay, then I can do this. I got a plan. So then she said, we got a program that can help you get housing.
Started working with the program called Supportive Services for Veteran Families.
Once I was housed, I knew that I needed to do something as far as my career was concerned.
So I gave him job resources.
So I started going to barber school. I fell in love with it. I had a passion for it. I went to a barbershop called the Tonsorial.
When Lewis first approached me coming to the barbershop, he was showing me some of his haircuts that he did before, but he was letting me know that he didn't have all the tools that he needed to work in the barbershop.
And I found myself once again stuck.
So once he explained this to me, I took this back to my team.
211 reached out to other organizations that they were connected to and a church. They called me one day and said, hey, we're going to help you. We're going to get your barber supplies.
These are not small numbers. This was over $1,000 worth of equipment.
When he got the tools, he gave me a phone call. I said, you got your tools? He said, yeah, 211 hooked me up. 9 o'clock in the morning, he was here ready to go.
The thing that barbering gave me was a sense of purpose.
All the feedback about Lewis is always positive. Ever since he came through here, it's been a blessing.
I started doing what I love. And from that, it kind of like made me want to do more.
I believe in following up, he said he had training.
I started going to school for peer support down at LMU. And from there, I landed a job at Hope of the Valley.
And what he does, he's now just considered to be an advocate for those who are homeless.
I'm a case manager to help homeless people find housing, find jobs, make connections with organizations like 211 LA. I also still cut hair.
Lewis and I met in Cincinnati.
I like ice cream. She likes funnel cake. We just like spending time together.
From the old Lewis to now, he feels more confident in moving forward now.
I felt like I was ready to make the next step in my relationship, and I asked her to marry me.
He just said, I just want to be here for you. I want to be a part of your life. I'm not asking you for anything.
So overall, my life is in a better place.
Lewis can sing. Lewis can sing.
I'm so happy we made it. I know one day we would. I have direction now. I have a goal. I have something in front of me that I can go towards.
And I'm getting emotional because every success that he had was my success too.
I would like to tell 211 LA, thank you for giving me my dream. Thank you for giving me hope. And thank you for this opportunity. I feel grateful. I'm so happy.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jolie, for sharing that video. And one thing that I do want to mention is Lewis Jackson's story is one of thousands that our callers dial in for in our frontline staff here. It's definitely real people going through real situations, and our CRAs, which are community resource advisors, that's who we call our frontline staff. They're individuals who get it. They live in LA County. The majority of our staffers understand what it is to go through hard times. And so we definitely try to meet our callers with creating a safe space for them. And so speaking on care coordination, I would like to use this opportunity to segue to Yoli, who's going to touch base a little bit more about our anti-hate programs and the care coordination services offered for that hate reporting service.
Thank you, Gil. All right, so I'm Yolanda Anguiano, the anti-hate director for 211 LA. Been with the organization since March of 21. So before March of 21, LA versus Hate in 2019 was created to respond to the increase of hate acts that are being experienced by our people in LA. And so what you saw Janetta describe as a care coordinator to provide that handheld service to connect to supportive services to, for Mr. Jackson is exactly what someone who reports to LA versus Hate will receive if they provide consent for us to call them back. Some people just want to report their hate experience, and they have found trust in going to LA versus Hate online to fill out the form and let us know what they experience. Others want to speak to someone by dialing 211, speak to a live person, let them know about that traumatic experience that they lived through, and then learn about those supportive services that exist, that are options for them to start the healing process, something similar to what Mr. Lewis experienced. The program LA versus Hate is funded through the LA County Human Relations Commission. And you heard Hypen describe at the very beginning of our time together that the annual hate crimes report of 2023 was released. And so there's an opportunity for us to get together again to understand what is happening, what was reported, what are those statistics telling us. So I look forward to being part of that conversation as well. All right. When someone calls or goes online to report their hate act experience, they don't, it's not up to them to say, was it an incident? Was it a crime? That's what we're here for. 211LA is trained to understand the differences between a hate incident and a hate act, and to find out what was the motivation behind that act that was perpetuated. Was it because of that person's race, ethnicity, the language that they speak, the way that they speak? Is it because of the culture that they represent, the religion that they have faith in? We want to learn about that experience, and we take these reports verbatim. Oh, what was it that they said to you? Oh, what was it how they made you feel? Oh, what was it that was written on that hate literature that was dropped on your doorstep or vandalized on that building? We take very specific reports because the more we know, the more we can describe what happened, take that data, and identify the most appropriate supportive service. We don't do this alone. We do these with partners that provide us cultural competency training and provide cultural competency direct support. And so what gets reported? What are some of the acts that unfortunately our people in LA County experience? It's the derogatory racial slurs about who they are, what sexual orientation they identify as, the gender that they identify as, whether it be vandalism or graffiti, where was a service not provided to them because of who they are? Were they threatened? Or was it violence, an assault? Hands were put on them. So these are the kind of things that do get reported to LA versus Hate by calling 211 or by going online and filling out the report. And so reporting is free. The services are free, open to all in LA County to report at LA versus Hate. The information is confidential. We can take anonymous reports. You don't have to tell us your name. You don't have to receive that follow-up care coordinated service to provide that assistance, that advocacy support to connect you to the appropriate referrals that is going to be identified. But we do want to inform the person that contacts 211 what it all involves. The community resource advisors like Janetta, who you met in the video, who supported Mr. Lewis, they are going to be able to inform the person that reaches 211 about the steps that are taken, why we are asking these questions, why do we want to know verbatim what was said, without re-triggering, without even ourselves having the vicarious trauma, because as you heard, sometimes we as the supporters here at 211 LA have possibly also experienced what has been what is being told to us on the other line, or what we read on that online report that was submitted. So anybody in LA County, anybody in LA County can report to 211. If they find themselves outside of the boundaries of LA County, you heard Gil say 211s exist throughout the state, within our bordering counties and beyond. Let's see. We do not ask for any documentation. Well, prove to me that you received that hate literature on your doorstep. Prove to me, show me that vandalism that took place. Oh, well, are you documented or undocumented? Prove to me your citizenship status. None of that is requested. If you should want to share a picture of that graffiti, of that hate literature that was distributed, we'll ask for a copy if you still have it, if you want to share for the case documentation process. All right, so reporting, picking up that phone, dialing 211, selecting 4, because that is the the interactive response system will ask you if you want to report a hate act. That is the entry to be able to speak to a service, a community resource advisor in your language. If it's not English, if you need an interpreter, we receive translation services, interpretation services from a partner so that we can understand one another better, so that trust can be built, so that every detail can be shared without there being a language barrier. So that's also available online. Someone can report in a language other than English. And so, like I said, we're not expecting those that call to say, oh, I experienced a hate act, that's a crime or it's an incident. At that moment when someone calls, we want to make sure that that person is safe, first and foremost. We are not 911, so if there is a crisis at that moment that the person had the courage to pick up the phone and dial in, we want to ensure that they're safe. So we go through a process to ensure safety and that they have that moment to be asked questions that are asked in the reporting form. And so when we hear that there's a civil rights violation that due to who they are, who they identify as, their race, their color, their language, their cultural ethnicity, their sexual orientation or gender, and there's a violation towards that identity, then we want to take that hate act report and identify that hate act that was bias motivated as an incident. The crime, when there's a crime, when there is a violation in regards to an assault, when there is vandalism, when there is, let's say, a robbery took place with the bias motivation. I'm taking your purse because a derogatory slur was said. I'm taking this from you, or I'm hurting you because of the gender identity that you represent, right? Then that becomes a hate crime. So at that moment, again, we want to know what happened. We want to identify the right resources to support that person so they could continue that pathway of healing. And so the report, here's a screenshot of it. I do want to drop these websites on the chat for you so you can review the report on your own. It doesn't have to be the person that was targeted, also known as a victim, that fills out this report. You might have heard or seen, right? You witnessed an act take place. You could fill out this report as a witness. Maybe you represent a community-based organization. You're one of our leaders in our faith community. And someone from the congregation has let you know what happened to them, then you may report on their behalf. You may be anonymous as well. Your information is confidential. But if you tell us, no, I need you to call me back, I need you to reach out to me so I know which services are out there that speak my language, that represent my culture. I don't just want a general legal aid number. I need someone that understands my experience. We go through those that database. You heard the numbers. We go through that database. We make new relationships with new community-based organizations, new providers of care that do provide that service, add them to the database if they weren't there, so that we could have a comprehensive approach to our service. We want to know where it happened. Did it, what kind of setting, what kind of environment? Was it within a school? Was it within your residence? Was it while you were in a community event? Were you interacting with the business and that's where it occurred? We take those type of details within the report, and it's based on what you remember, right? Based on what you can recall. And the care coordination, that's a term that not all may be familiar with. Care coordination, it's known as case management. It's the follow-up service. Not everyone says, yes, I need follow-up. Some just want to report and move on, right? But we do hope that when someone reports to get support, that they do give us consent to call them back, or email them back, whatever they prefer. Because what happens there is there might be some information, some questions that are not responded to. For instance, was there a bias motivation that wasn't defined, right? We want to be able to ask and steer the person that's reporting hate with the kind of treatment where we build rapport with them. They feel like they can talk to us. They feel confident enough that we are going to be able to identify the right supportive services for them. And so this is key here. This is where the relationship is built. So we're not a data collecting agency. We provide that coordination so that we not only give that number, the name to the organization. We tell them their open hours. We tell them how close they are to their residency. We also tell them and ask them to tell us, were you able to get enrolled? How is that service going? Are you finding that your needs are being met with that organization? So we do that follow-up for as long as the person that reported to us allows us to follow up. All right. And so you might ask, okay, you're taking these reports. Where does this report go to? 211 LA, through our partner agencies, through the Human Relations Commission, we share this data so that we and our contracted partners who provide direct services know what happened, with the respect of those reports that come in wanting to be anonymous, right? We're very well aware of who picks that box and says, sure, provide support, but keep my name removed from this file, from this report. And once a week, we get together to discuss the reports that come in. Did we identify the most appropriate resource? Did we hit a roadblock? Is there a more cultural competent service that's out there that we did not think of as a care coordinator? So who do we rely on? We rely on our community-based organizations to support us. We present a report that came in, talk about the kind of resources we've already identified. What has the response been with our client who was provided with these resources? And together, we provide the support to the client through our care coordinator. Okay. So, those are two ways to report. But we feel the need, thanks to funding through the state Stop the Hate program, we are able to be at different schools within the county, because being at arm's length, having a space within the campus, a school campus, creating a safe place where a student could come in and might want to talk about what's going on, or just wants to huddle in that safe space where they could find a snack, they could find someone that's willing to listen and to provide support, is something that has started to be able to, I want to say, become available, become a resource that is available and support the students that do go through a situation, a bias-motivated hate act, or need to speak to someone about what they're feeling. So these are a list of some of the schools where that type of service is provided. At these schools, the students that come, that form community within the Dream Centers, have found that they are now becoming ambassadors of the school to inform the campus about reporting hate, about not keeping silent, about being conscientious of the words that we speak and how it affects others. So we, at La Puente High School, the campaign Words Matter embarked because of the the need to inform all about being very, very conscious about the words that we speak and the effect that it takes. Here's a list of some of the partners that join us through Case Conference that are behind the scenes supporting those that report hate. And these are just some of them. Again, we meet every Wednesday to be able to discuss the reports that have been submitted online or through a phone call. All right. In 2022, October, around Halloween time of 2022, the state civil rights department, the legislature was paying attention about the hate acts that were happening within our beautiful state of California. And so the civil rights department of the state was able to work with 211 LA, support 211 LA, learn about how LA versus hate was functioning to embark California versus hate. California versus hate is also a non-emergency hate reporting hotline to be able to support those that are outside of LA County with the same type of service that LA versus hate provide. And so there's a specialized line, 833-H-NO-HATE, which translates to 833-866-4283, where someone could call in their preferred language to report an experience of hate that they lived through, or go online and report in the language that they prefer as well. Let's see. In year one, we've known that folks are reporting, but I feel that if more people knew about the opportunity to report hate, these numbers would be much higher. If people had trust in reporting their experience, these numbers would be much higher. What I do like to say and inform you all is that those that do report, the majority do want that care coordination. They do want someone to follow up with them. They don't just want to call or submit a report online and say, I'm done with it. No, they're telling us that they need someone to either provide them counseling, which is one of the most requested referrals, is mental health counseling, and also talk to a legal advisor to see what kind of steps they could take forward. Again, this program within the state is also supported by community partners, some of the same community partners that support LA versus hate. And we don't do this alone. 211 LA does not work alone. You heard about those community-based partners, but there's 211 throughout the state who provide that care coordination service. We all use the same case management system to be able to provide referrals to the person that reports hate in a very secure way with the most updated information about that service provider. So thank goodness for all of these 211s that are constantly receiving updated training on how to provide culturally competent training service is what I meant to those that report hate. And here's a list of whom they are. Well, in a nutshell, we are wanting to take any questions. Like Cora, please let us know. Hey, Ben, let us know what the next step is. I am going to drop some of these links into the chat so that you can have easy access to the resources that are available, the info sheets that are available, the digital collateral that's available that you may want to repost using your own social media platforms so that we could have an increase of awareness, right? For those that go through these unfortunate experience of a hate act just because of who they represent, who they identify as. We saw the numbers on the annual report, hate crime report for LA County, and those are only numbers for those that have reported. So, I mean, those are the only ones that know about our services, that have trust in our services. And I feel that there are many more that do not report There's so many other ways that you can report hate by in LA County by dialing 911. You can report a hate act as well. There's really no wrong door. When you report to LA versus hate, however, or California versus hate, we do not share all of the reports information with all of these different entities. We hold it secure within our partner agencies to support the client. So there might be a report that was submitted to LAPD or the sheriffs, right? That we will not, LA versus Hate 211 LA will not receive that information from law enforcement. The person who experienced a hate act might want to report to other entities as well. But I thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much. That was really good, Yolanda. And Gil, I learned even more. But now, can you tell me what should a victim remember to mention when they report a hate crime? Are there some certain things you'd like them to be sure that they mention?
When they call in, if they can remember what they experience, which means on so and so day, I was at this place, and while I was doing X, Y, and Z, let's just say they went into a store, they went to purchase something, and while they were there, another consumer or the staff member or the security guard or someone that was walking along the sidewalk, identifying who the perpetrator was as what they were doing at that same location, if possible, and what did that perpetrator do? They said derogatory racial slur to me, derogatory gender identifying slur to me, right? They said something derogatory to me, about my who I am. They might even say it made me feel scared. It made me feel triggered because it's not my first time. Okay. I was going to jump ahead to care coordination, but no, at the time of reporting, they might tell us, who they were with. I was alone. I was with my family. I was, it was in the middle of the night and I just needed to rush in to buy something. And then this happened to me. We ask about all those details. Time of the day, do you remember? We don't ask, was it 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock? We ask if it was morning, day, or night, right? Was it a residential area? Is it where you live? Was it at a place of business? Was it the place where you work, right? We do not ask, well, what was the perpetrator's name? What is their address? What is their phone? We do not ask information about that specific perpetrator. We want to know what happened to the victim, what happened to the witness, so we could support them, right? So those are the kind of details that we want to find out at the time of reporting. If they give us consent for care coordination, we ask them to give us a little bit more detail without triggering them, without re-traumatizing the situation, because it's difficult. It's a difficult experience.
I understand. Right, Ben. Dan, did you have a question?
Sure. Yes. I am just wondering. I know that the earlier example of the video of the individual who received help was really inspiring. Could you give an example of someone who reported a hate crime or hate incident, and it didn't just end with that, which I think again is very valuable. I know that with Stop API Hate, the fact that they were able to aggregate the reports of so many AAPI, it was a game changer. And I know even the Stop the Hate grant from California, they played a significant role. So I know the importance of reporting, but for the everyday individual in the midst of their life, If it wasn't like a do or die, they may just not report. So could you give an example of someone that reported and some practical things that you provided for them that was an additional incentive versus just the importance of reporting?
Yes. With keeping our clients' information confidential, of course, generally speaking, when a situation comes to mind where when someone reports to 211 LA through LA versus hate or California versus hate, we learn about the situation that happened and we ask, who else have you reported to? Who who else? What kind of services are you already receiving, right? And a report comes to mind where they said, I've already talked and I reported to police. I called 911 before I called you, right? I was assaulted at my place of business. I'm a street vendor, and I was assaulted, and I was called all these derogatory terms because of my gender identity. Hate crime, derogatory words pertaining to their gender identity, and they were assaulted. And I believe there was burglary also involved. And so, oh, you reported to police. Okay, okay, your zip code is this. So did you go to the precinct near you? We identified the precinct. And we wanted to learn more about that hate report. So we talked to the detective and we learned that there was no hate crime. Oh gosh, the law enforcement term is escaping my enhancement. There was no hate crime enhancement taken on the police report. It was just taken as, oh, assaulted, burglary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're, as care coordinators, because this person did seek care coordination, they just didn't want to report and submit a report. We worked with a detective, LA County, I'm sorry, yes, well, LAPD. There's hate crimes coordinators within our two law enforcement jurisdictions, PD and sheriffs, right? Thank goodness. We have knowledgeable staff that works with advocates to be able to open up police reports that were taken some time ago, review what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think lawyers call it discovery, right? Where they bring in all this information. And we were able to get an enhancement because, as a hate crime enhancement to that crime, because of the information we received. And we, as advocates, spoke to the detective about that. So now it's a hate crime, identified as a hate crime through all of that activity. When before it was, I don't want to say the word just, but it was a police report taken because of the assault and burglary.
So I guess maybe additional questions to that. So was the individual who did the assaulting, did they get any kind of, do you know what happened to them? Because I know that in the last, that many of them, even though they're reported, they might even be arrested, then they're released. So I do appreciate that there was that enhancement, so that allows for at least a higher accountability per se, but I'm not sure if you know the actual accountability happens. So that's question one. Then the second, but it's helpful to know that your team can help do some of that lifting so that the individual is not on their own. So that's great. But if you could share that. And then the second part is that, are there other like practical assistance, whether there is actual referral to mental health counseling? Because again, you know, the mental health counseling is one that where there's a long line. So is there a way that they'll be able to cut the line? And then, or monetary assistance or anything like that, also that could be helpful to motivate people to actually do the reporting.
So what I recall is that the perpetrator was apprehended because it wasn't their first when they were identified, it wasn't the first crime, right? Like they had other previous crimes. And so that is how we interact with law enforcement to support those that report hate.
That's great. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we want folks to know, that we're not going to push you to report to law enforcement. We respect everyone's interactions and like the way they respond to law enforcement. We respect that, but we inform you when you do, this is what could occur. This is the advocacy that we do provide, right? And then consent, whether we move forward or not. We move at the pace, at the level that our client gives us consent to. Other question
Just
about
resources like
line.
mental health counseling getting cut in line, or or monetary assistance, or anything else
I hope there's legislators, that are going to see this recording in the future because of the lack of resources, because of the lack of funding. 211 LA doesn't have a magic wand to be able to cut the line or expedite. But I know that it is a systemic issue where we have found that 1 year community-based organization or a clinic does have funding to provide services, and then the next year funding is not the same. And so, services are not found. And so this is like a surmountable issue that I think all nonprofits face, all of those that are receiving funding from either government agencies or foundations, is that, the surmountable problem and challenge to seek funding, sustain funding, so that we can continue doing the work that we know has positive outcomes for our people. And so, what if we can't expedite, then we find out, what is the process? Who else can I speak to? What other type of services are available? Because as we know, yes. We wish we could expedite, but it's that.
Yeah. So I think that in many of these forums, a lot of times expectations are set, and then people, hit those walls of bureaucracy or whatever. So I just want to bring some clarity of what is possible. At minimum, it sounds like, there is a care coordinator that they could continue to talk to, who will try to identify resources, but
yes,
perhaps it may not be the speed line, express line.
No, but explaining, okay, to expedite things, it's down. We might find out, oh, well, a police report is required in order to get victim compensation. Mm-hmm. Let me support you to get that through, yes. So that medical bill that you are confronting, because you had to leave work because of the healing you were trying to go through. Let's go that security system that you now want in front of your door, because that's where occurrences are happening. It takes step A to get to step B. So trust us, lean on us to inform what the process is like. And
that's helpful, even to go, oh, there's a possibility that someone might help with the security camera. So, again, not guaranteed, but those are just examples that I think it will help people to go, oh.
We have supported on going through victim compensation to provide that type of tool.
That is awesome. So there is some kind of a potential victim compensation fund or resource that could be potentially available. I'm putting a lot of potential.
And I know, because we're not the providers of that service. We need to
coordinate.
We need to find out why, like why was it denied? Can we apply again?
Mm-hmm. So it's very helpful that, again, an individual doing it on their own versus connecting with your agency, at least that there's someone who can advocate or give some guidance. So I think in that way, it could be very, very helpful. I know there are some other questions. So Cora, I could go on and on. I'm going to toss it back to you and go from there. Cora, we can't hear you. Can you? Yeah.
That's another question from the chat box from Cheryl Vine.
I see it. Cheryl asks, I live in San Luis Obispo County. How can we get a 211 in our area? And so, Cheryl, San Luis Obispo is covered through 211, through the 211 California network. The 211 provider specifically for San Luis Obispo would be United Ways of San Luis Obispo. And so I see Yoli just dropped the link in the chat You can dial 211 and it should connect you to your local 211 service. If you are someone who does live in other parts of the state or have partner organizations or friends and family members who may live in a different county that would benefit from dialing 211, I'm going to drop in a 211 California coverage map. It's a Tableau data page where it highlights the county and it tells you who that provider, what that organization provider is. So, for example, for LA County, it's 211 LA. For San Luis Obispo, it's United Ways of San Luis Obispo. And so each of them are operated by different independent nonprofits. However, we do work together. If you are dialing 211 to report a hate crime in San Luis Obispo or a hate act, you can dial the California versus hate number, and they'll connect you to that service. So the 866 4283 number show.
Yeah, Gil, you put it in the chat a little bit earlier, but I'm just gonna repost just so it could be at the bottom of the chat. You know,
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yes. Are you done, Cheryl? Yes? Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for that information. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
You know, Yoli, you mentioned something about reporting to the police, but then it did not have that enhancement. And so first I want to do a shout out to LAPD in that they led the country in terms of shifting from in the past when people reported and it didn't meet the crime level threshold, then it was kind of like tough luck, right? But they did start tracking incidents that are not necessarily crime level, but incidents. But still, I think there's still big gaps in which there's a disconnect. So you might encounter encounter of either a hate incident or a hate crime, but the police or the sheriff's office may not recognize it as such, and you may feel frustrated. And it sounds like you could contact 211 to be actually a great advocate for you, so that there is some kind of follow-up. Because I see on social media many people expressing their frustration that they contact the police and they just kind of dismiss it or say it's really nothing. I don't know the word nothing, but not to the point where they're going to submit. And so I just want to highlight that's what it sounds like that Yoli Gilbert 211 LA is able to do.
yes, that's the kind of support that we provided those that report hate, because we understand that everyone's experience is different, and so with the advocacy that we do, we find out what are those passageways, what is the solution for our clients, right? And so by working together with LAPD, the Sheriff's Department, our community-based organization, our faith leaders, it's taking us all to with our subject matter expertise, bridging all of that together in order to provide the right solution. And then once we see that it worked for this person, well, then it can work for this other person, this other report that's submitted. And we, 201 LA also received a grant. I don't understand. My phone is listening. 201 LA also received funding from the Department of Justice because LA County, the leader, right, in providing this program, LA versus Hate, California versus Hate came after, and now we have other states that want to do the same because hate crimes are not just within California in our country, as we are aware. So we're supporting currently the state of Illinois, Nevada, and Washington with their hate program development needs, right? Providing that technical assistance to show, well, this is how LA versus Hate was developed. This is how California versus Hate developed. This is the reporting form that we use. This is the case management and care coordination that's provided. These are the common resources that are needed by our folks that experience hate. And so hopefully one day this whole country will have a hate reporting program.
Amen to that. I'm just wondering, and Cora, please feel free to jump in as well. I noticed that you did have partner organizations, and I know that probably in the room right now, and maybe people who will be listening to in the future, they may be a nonprofit that could be also a potential resource. How do those organizations, connect with you to be also a potential resource to, so that they could help you work and help clients?
Help is always needed. Let's start meeting one another, right? Before a crisis comes along, before something that affects our society comes, let's start building relationships with one another, get to know each other better. I just dropped my contact email on the chat. If there's like a follow-up to this presentation, hopefully it's included too. I'm also dropping my number on the chat so that we could set up times for us to meet, share information, and build our partnership. So let me.
Sounds good. So basically, you're saying if there are organizations who could be also a resource for your clients who call in, that to reach out to you and see if that makes sense, and then to be connected into being a partner or a resource. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Great as well.
Do you have any thoughts, you or Gil, about the hate crime report that was released yesterday? Any insight that you can share?
I believe it was said that there has been a 45% increase in reporting, right? The reporting doesn't mean of what's actually happening, right? I feel like it's more than that. But reporting, 45%. I hope this report falls in front of all of our legislators, all of our elected officials, eyes, so that they can see that programs such as ours, partnerships such as what we're talking about right now, is very much needed in order to combat hate. The Human Relations Commission of LA County, the Civil Rights Department of California, all of these Stop the Hate grantees were working towards combating hate, right? To respond to and support those that report hate. But it's here we are, more people are reporting. That means more support is needed. That means we need our legislators to understand that and to respond to that. So that first and foremost, you based on your question, that's what came to mind. There hasn't been an increase, and I'm not sure if there will be. Did I say that right? There hasn't been a decrease, and I'm not sure if there will be.
I agree. I know that even for myself, maybe it may not be equivalent to a hate crime, but I was walking by Beverly Connection in daylight on a Saturday, right? And I saw a gentleman. He looked like he was homeless, and he came towards us. I was with my husband, thank God, and I was by a restaurant nearby. And as he was coming, he was throwing things and saying things for which I couldn't hear what he was saying, but he was throwing things. It wasn't anything like really hard, but still, it was very aggressive, something I haven't encountered probably in LA like all my life. And I was able to walk into a restaurant with my husband to kind of be able to distract. And so in that way, thank God, like I said, I was by a restaurant with my husband and be able to get in. But I did not end up reporting to the police or anyone else. So I'm definite that there are a lot more than what is being counted, right? As well.
Data will tell us who the perpetrator is, right? Like, was it an educator? Was it a person that worked at that restaurant? Was it, who was the perpetrator? If data tells us the perpetrators are so-and-so, then there should be a response to that. There should be a concerted effort to respond to what the data is telling us. And so if I could just use your example, Haipin, you didn't report, therefore you're saying, oh, well, this happens, it happened to me, I didn't get hurt, I went into safety, I'm okay. Those that do report tell us, I'm not going to normalize this. I'm not going to just sit back and just excuse it. I want someone to know. I want someone to do something about it. So I feel those that report to us is because they're done normalizing this hate act, whether it be a crime or incident issue.
So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I believe one of our participants has a question. I believe it was Troy. Troy, would you like to ask a question? Or is it reporting a hate crime can be an emotionally taxing process? What support systems are in place for victims during and after reporting? And so I just want to highlight that, as mentioned again, in a way, it takes a certain amount of energy and time to go and put that in. But I think in the past, it just feels like a black hole. And especially when it becomes it gets dismissed, then it's almost like, gosh, you feel stupid for taking time to do so. And at least we highlighted one or two things in which your agency could be helpful, but would you like to elaborate further?
Yes. There are times where, oh, wait, you found a moment while you're driving to report, but holy moly, you have to get off the phone because something is happening and you can't finish the report, right? You can call back. You can call us back and complete that report by calling us back. Or if you're online, you can start it, right? If it's a safe place and if it's your personal computer, you can, or your phone, right? You can report using the online report on your phone. You could go back to it and complete it. So what happens is when you call and you have to cut the report short, we did go through some of the questions. We could submit that report. You can submit as many answers as you can, and you are given a report number. If you decide to call back and say, well, you're going to be asked, have you reported this incident, this act before? You're going to say yes. We're going to ask, well, do you know your report number? And you're going to say yes, no, right? And we could continue from there. That's what's so great about CS Care, which is our client management system, that it's a secure way to be able to open up the reports that came in through a phone call or through an online submission.
That sounds good. Troy, I'm just wondering, do you want to ask? I know that's at least one type that they could always take a break and come back, and as such, but did you want to push further on that question?
No, I was really happy with the answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
One thing I do want to add, for clarity as well, our staffers, our care coordinators, our frontline phone staff, they go through comprehensive training, and there are quality standards in place by the National Accreditor of Information Referral Services called Inform USA. And so our staff go through trauma-informed care training, client advocacy training, cultural competency training. And so we definitely provide our staff with the resource to provide that top quality service to our clients who are in need, whether it's an individual experiencing hate or an individual who's unhoused or someone who's an older adult and they need service navigation. And so we definitely are really proud of the quality of work that our staff are providing. And actually, this year we received an honor from the National Accreditor in service delivery for our 2-on-1 service. So, we're definitely doing great work, holding space for individuals in need. And so, Troy and Hypen, if there's any additional questions, please let us know.
So there's another one here from Kiri. Is saying it's always amazing to me how someone can be visibly having mental issues but still be able to shout racist epithets. How do they lose their mental stability but maintain their racism? It's wild. I'd like to make a comment before you do that. I've made also similar observations, and they excuse the actions as, oh, it's mental health. but from what I've seen, whether it's domestic violence perpetrators or mental health, I mean, individuals who are racist, who have mental health challenges, it seems at minimum they go after someone who seems the weakest. And so in that way, mental health alone should not just be an automatic like pass per se. So I would love to hear your response to their comment or question.
Yeah, if any of you know about community, us as, working on the field, providing services where we are working with mental health clinicians, where we're working with decision makers on how we are going to respond to these issues that are only increasing. I would love to be there. 211 LA would love to be there. Uh, we go through our own training to be able to understand someone that's going through a mental health issue while they're reporting, right? So that we're not clinicians, we don't have all of the degrees, but we need some type of knowledge, some type of training to be able to be sensitive to what they're reporting, but also be supportive at the same time. And so I think we need as much training as is available, as much awareness as is available, but also with the increasing challenges that our mental health, our folks that are experiencing mental health crisis in our, in our county, what are we responding? I hear that there's not enough resources. I hear that, there's one, there's not enough folks on the field to accompany when a 911 is called. So when will there be enough resources? What is the solution? Are we just gonna have to, mind our business and try not to trigger a situation like that, right? Do I have to appear like I'm not weak? Just according to what Hypen said. I don't know. But I think if there are these groups that are coming together to respond, to put up strategies on how to respond and the resources that are not enough, well, how do we make enough of them? Let me know.
We need some wisdom here. Kiri, I'm just wondering, did you want to elaborate any further?
Oh, no, I was just making a comment in the chat. I was just saying that a lot of times I'll notice that I'll be out and sometimes you might interact with kind of like the experience you had. And I always think how interesting it is that you can like lose your right frame of mind and still maintain and hang on to your racism or white supremacy. And what does that say about how deeply rooted it must be that you can lose so many other aspects of like reality and mental stability, but still hold on to that and how deeply rooted it is. But I just always think that's interesting. I do have a question though.
Go for it.
Like we saw last time and like we've already seen, and he hasn't even taken office, the hate crimes are increasing with Trump in office. We are already seeing that. We already have seen what's happened at the Beverly Hills High School, and all of these things in the text messages to Black and Latino Americans, college students. So my question is, as these increase, will you guys, as you were saying, you'll have to increase resources, things like that. Will it be almost like a triage situation of how these hate crimes get handled with Trump in office?
It's definitely a triage situation, Kiri. We don't work alone. 211, and I think that question was addressed to 211 LA.
Yes.
We don't work alone. We know how to respond to those that call in or submitted a hate report, but we lean on all of our partners, and it looks like we're going to be able to make more partnerships so that we could keep each other informed and to provide the right support. So if someone were to report that due to what's going on in the media and what's being perpetuated, the hate that's being perpetuated by leaders, someone that does experience a hate act due to that what's being perpetuated, then we are standing by. We're standing by until someone dials 211 or that California versus hate specialized line. Because, or while we're doing outreach, if someone wants to come up to us and report, we don't as a person, if I witness, I'll report myself. But it's until someone has the courage and awareness to report that we're able to take action. So I hope through, the Sentinel, I think this is one way to be able to increase awareness. You taking back what you learned to your community. That's how we are able to increase awareness. Where would we be without our trusted journalists, right? To be able to carry these stories forward, and to hopefully mute the things that shouldn't be said.
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious. It says that you could help people on your phone line with, I think it was almost like 100 languages. So if I called and I'm not speaking English and it's not, maybe Spanish where you might be able to recognize, maybe Chinese, maybe, but I'm saying da 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 da. Da, how does your system recognize what language it is to help them?
So there is a number identified to a language. So dial 7 for this, 8 for that. So and that language is said in their language, so they're able to identify. But if they just bypass that and they just started, they got connected to a community resource advisor, and automatically the community resource advisor started speaking English. It's a dance. It's together we identify what is that language in the best way that we can, or bring in language line, which is the supportive services that we use, and with the assistance try to identify that language if it wasn't already dialed in beforehand. It's that moment, and that's the first way that we start building trust with one another. It's like, oh, we worked on this together. We achieved.
So it is a dance. It is a dance. And I pray that with AI, that there will come a day when they speak and it's just readily recognized. But so thank you for sharing that. Cora, I think you had something to say. Cora, you're speaking, but we can't hear you.
Oh, no. I think Gilbert was going to add something.
Oh, please, Gilbert.
Yeah, I was just going to add another resource for you all. Kiri, with your comment, it reminded me of recently Yoli and myself and our LA versus Hate program manager, Linda Bustamante, were at La Puente High School. And it just makes me so incredibly proud of the work that's being done in LA County, especially amongst youth, because as we know, hate can be is a learned behavior. And so a lot of these students are standing up against hate, and they're taking initiative by developing their own campaigns. For example, the Words Matter campaign. And as we know, right, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. But words do have a deeper, lasting impact that's generational. And so one component of the Stop the Hate and LA versus Hate, there's this education component. And so through Explore Justice, it's a video series that really dives into these prejudices. Like, why do we think the way we think? What happened within LA within LA's history. And so this video series is a platform where students can take these videos and talk to their parents and have these conversations. There's reflection questions, there's activities, there's healing activities like photo journaling, guidance. And so we need your help, right? We need your help of the LA Sentinel, reporters, nonprofit organizations, anyone who lives in LA County and throughout the state to spread the word to report hate acts. And so Yoli, right, the numbers are increasing, but it's also a sign that people are choosing to report, and we want them to report because we get these numbers in front of legislators. We get these numbers in front of these government agencies who are the providers of the funding. And so change can only happen if we all work together. So the resource is there. It's in the chat. Please feel free to look at it. We spent a lot of time in curating this resource, and it's definitely something that it's free and accessible to all.
That's really great. I
Another
guess
question.
go for it, Cora.
Gilbert and Yoli in the chat.
Yoli, the question reads, can we get an official definition of hate? It is important to identify what kind of reports need to be reported to the 211 line. Also, does the line accept text messages, videos, and photographs?
All right. So with the care coordination piece, we are able to receive documentation, whether it be a recording or pictures to the care coordination process, because you start creating a relationship with that care coordinator and share through email, right? In regards to text messages, line accept text messages, videos, and that's something that is in the work to be able to report through text messaging, as folks would prefer that type of like source. Let me bring up right here. Let me bring up the definition.
So while you're looking, then maybe Gilbert could answer this. So I noticed that the care coordinators, their hours are only Monday through Friday, I think 8:30 to 5. So how do people connect with a care coordinator? Do they just call in the phone number that was put out there, like 211 LA, and say, hey, I want a care coordinator? Or how does that process work?
Yeah, Yoli, correct me if I'm wrong, but right. So the information line and the reporting line, people can access it 24 hours a day. A front line staff can take the report, and when the care coordinator comes in, they'll receive that report and they'll reach out to the individual who reported. Yoli, is
So
that
just for
correct?
clarity, so I know that you're saying online is 24/7 in terms of reporting. And then in that report, you could say, I want a care coordinator, or how does that process work?
That is correct. And I could pull up that part of the report that asks the question, do you want someone to follow up with you? And the follow-up is the next business day. So if today's Friday, let's just say Monday is going to be a holiday, well, then Tuesday, right? And to make that connection right away, right? To be able to say, we received your report. They become aware of what was reported. We don't ask the same questions that are in front of us, right? Because we want to come in to that conversation ready with already identified some resources. I think I missed a couple other parts of
So that's what it is. So if they did it online and said, do you want to follow up? You say yes, then there will be a follow up, and that's how they're going to get connected to a care coordinator. If they call in, and then again, do they say, I want a care coordinator, or I want follow up, or how does that work if they call in?
It's one of the questions. So our community resource advisors are asking the same questions that are on the online form. So it's part of that dialogue that they're going to be engaged in. And I want you to see what that looks like on the reporting form. But I did drop for all state definition on hate, so that could be available to you all. And I took it from the California Civil Rights Department's website. And what I'll also do is, I think Gil already put it a little bit earlier, but I'm dropping it again, so it could be close. You don't have to hunt it down.
But it's those categories, right? The gender identity, nationality, race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, disability, or them being associated with another group.
Yes.
Perceived characteristics.
And that's a lot, right? That's a handful of, oh, which one is it? Let 201 LA identify that for you. Make that make you aware of what protected class that fits into, because sometimes all the person knows is how their words made them feel, what they experience, and to define a protected class is something that we could support them in doing. So here I am in the reporting form, and just give me a thumbs up if you can see it.
We can see it.
you're going to type in "this happened to me." One of the last questions is, can a 211 LA care coordinator contact you to confirm your connection to resources provided and/or provide additional referral services? Yes, I'm over 18. Yes, but I'm under 18. Yes, I'm under 18, but I don't have my parental consent. Or no, I just wanted to report, right? Uh, we know that not all could receive parental consent due to whatever situation the person under 18 is. We want to provide support as much as possible. So we just want to know who reached out to us, who's submitting a report, and who we're going to be following up with.
Cheryl has a question. Is the 3 NAACP, is the NAACP California involved in the planning, etc.?
Yeah, I was going to say that there's more than 3, thank goodness.
No, it was the.
We have relied on NAACP when we have a report that has come in that we need their guidance on. We want to seek their support. We want to let them know what happened. And the report that you submit, you give us consent to be able to speak to a community-based organization so that we could provide most appropriate resources. And you'll tell us, yes, you can share my name. No, you cannot share my name, but I still want support, so that we are very careful on acknowledging that and to move within those confines.
Another question, lots of questions. We're almost coming to the close, but can someone volunteer work for 211 LA? If so, how do they go about doing it, and what types of individuals are you looking for?
It depends on the opportunity, but yes, there are opportunities, and I apologize that I'm speaking like this. It's because when I search for something and then my multitasking kind of declines. There is a webpage within 211la.org that's called Work at 211la.
And so the work could be volunteer also then. Is that correct?
It depends.
Yeah, we don't have a designated volunteer program. However, we do take interns from time to time. And we also do, every couple of months, we do a hiring class for our frontline staff. And as you know, new programs are developed, we do hire new staff, and we put those requisitions on our 211la.org website. But Troy, if you do have a specific like volunteer interest, or you know someone who may be interested, for example, someone who has some extra free time, someone's in college, someone who's retired, and they're wanting to get a little bit more involved with their local community, especially within 211, send me an email with those details, and we can definitely take that to the team and reflect on what needs we may have and what skills this individual may have that align with our shared goal.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it is 2 minutes till, and we're almost at the finish line. So I'm going to toss it back to Cora, but thank you to everyone.
Yes, thank you. Well, that's all I have. I hope everybody found it as beneficial as I did. I want to thank you, Gilbert and Yolanda, for sharing your time and knowledge with us. If there's no other questions, any other remarks you want to make, pipe in?
I think that we were just going to share resources. So both organizations have resources. So please, Cora, you could put your website link in the chat room. Our organization is facela.org, where there's helping people with down payment assistance up to $340,000 in down payment, to paid internships for youth, to just building capacity for organizations that want to do more work in the community, whether you're faith-based or nonprofit. We have our C2 Leadership Institute. So please go and check our website. Obviously, our speakers, they're working so hard, but I think you heard them. The need is so great, but the workers are few, the resources are few. And so I think it seems that it's really important that we have more of these kind of collaborations to work together. and to bring our voices together for more opportunities and connections to help the people who really need the help as well. So again, thank you, Cora, and thank you, LA Sentinel.
Perfectly said. Thank you so much, everyone, for the opportunity to present and share a little bit more about the incredible work that we're doing, and looking forward to our future collaborations.
Thank you. So be on the lookout for future forums as well. So blessings to everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you.